last week, I think it was last week, maybe it was the week before, we talked about Patriot missiles, that they were working out some kind of deal in order to try to figure out how can we get Patriot missiles into Ukraine. And they were doing sort of a NATO swap with Polish from Germany to Poland.
Was going to give them to Poland. Right. Poland was going to give them to Ukraine.
Well, it seems like that deal has gone really sour here. We got one article, this is from Reuters here. Poland will place German Patriot missiles on its territory. Now, if you just read the Reuters article by itself, you wouldn't think there was any kind of issue at all. But if you go to the German news site DW, Poland to accept German missiles after spat over location. Now, here's the story behind it here. Polish Defense Minister Mariusz Błaszczak said his country would accept Germany's offer to deploy a Patriot missile defense system to Poland. Now, this move comes after a brief spat between Germany and Poland after Warsaw asked to have the air defense weapons be transferred to Ukraine instead. Now, Berlin refused the proposal and said it would act the same way as the rest of NATO, not deploying this particular system in Ukraine. Now, Germany had made the offer after an errant missile fell in a Polish village near the border with Ukraine, killing 2 Polish men. Now, Poland and NATO said it was likely a Ukrainian missile that misfired as Ukraine was defending itself against Russian strikes. Now, that's the first time they've said that in print, by the way. Now, it goes on to say here, after talking to Germany on Monday, I was disappointed to accept the decision to reject the support of Ukraine, Błaszczak wrote on Twitter. Placing the Patriots in Western Ukraine would increase the security of Poles and Ukrainians. Warsaw and Berlin would nonetheless proceed with arrangements regarding the placement of the launchers in Poland and connecting them to our command system, he said. So they couldn't work out the deal, Rick, to get the Patriot systems directly into Ukraine, but instead they've come up with this particular scenario. Your thoughts or comments on how this has shaken down?
I think, remember the question, who owns the Patriots? Who's the last owner? And if they go into Ukraine and are used against Russia, then Poland is the legal owner.
Right.
And I think somebody in the West made a decision. There's too much liability here. We're not going to turn this over to the Ukrainians.
At least not yet. They're not ready for the full-blown war yet. And so maybe they were actually taking the advice of the deputy NATO commander that we talked about last week, I believe it was, that made such a big deal about this. If we allow the Patriot missiles to be handed off to the Ukrainians, we're in the war. There's no ifs, ands, or buts at that point. It's NATO versus Russia at that point.